That's usually not abnormal, but it is when you consider he will have that chance with two different teams. After being traded from Cleveland to Cincy, Flacco led the Browns to a Week 3 win over the Pack. Now he gets to start with the Bengals. Flacco would be just the second quarterback to beat the same team twice in the same season with two different teams. Let's have a look.
Joe Flacco's never had a week quite like this one, and yet the Bengals feel like Flacco was ready to start on Sunday. Earlier in the week, Flacco was being driven down the interstate following the trade and was on the phone with Bengals head coach Zach Taylor as Taylor installed the playbook. That process ramped up throughout the week, and by Friday, Flacco said he felt pretty comfortable once he got out of the huddle. Taylor said that they repped everything they needed to with Flacco, and that included a lot of practice work and walkthrough work throughout the course of the week. Cincinnati feels like having receivers such as T. Higgins and Jamar Chase will be a big benefit for Flacco, who will try to fix a Bengals offense that has sputtered during a 3-game losing streak.
2 weeks. That's how long the Packers have had to sit with their 40-40 tie against the Cowboys going into last week's bye. It left them at 2-1-1 heading into Sunday's game here against the Cincinnati Bengals at Lambeau Field. Micah Parsons said the way we finished that game should make us want to punish these guys. We should want to make a statement. Well, one way to do that might be with their running game. It's been slow going so far, but running back Josh Jacobs said he's not concerned because in his mind it typically takes 3 or 4 games to get the run game going anyway.
You know, Jacobs has a rushing touchdown in each of his last 6 home games. Another rushing score today would break a tie with Aaron Jones for the most consecutive home games with a rushing score by a Packers player since the battle of 4-1s in San Francisco and Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. Still no Brock Purdy for the 49ers. The toe keeps him out a 4th game. Now Mac Jones is questionable, though expected to start dealing with knee and oblique issues. No issues on the other side. Baker Mayfield, 3rd shortest odds to win MVP. Here's Jenna Lane.
Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield tried to warn us a few weeks ago when he said, "We don't take any bleep." So was anyone truly surprised that he was caught verbally sparring with a Seahawks fan in the tunnel moments before kickoff last week? My biggest question for him, though, heading into this game against the 49ers, is how do you go from being that amped up to being what your teammates have described as so cool and calm and collected in the huddle, smiling at everybody and asking guys, "Are you ready?" And he told me it's all about compartmentalizing. And I said, "What does that look like for you?" I said, "Do things get really quiet? Do you black out?" And he laughed and said, "A little bit of both." But in all seriousness, he said, it's all about the details. And when you're locked into the details, you play faster. And this team does very well up tempo. And when you do that, you put opposing defenses on their heels. And then left tackle Tristan Wirfs said he's just so positive in these 2-minute situations. He said, he never wavers, and it's hell yeah, let's do this.
Our coach, Herm Edwards, rocking with us all morning, loving what he is seeing from Baker Mayfield down there in Tampa. He's led game-winning drives in the 4th quarter or OT in 4 of 5 games this season. Coach, how and why has Baker been able to be so effective?
Well, very calm in the pocket, first of all. It starts there. But his ability to play off schedule.
Yeah.
That's what drives defenses mad. In the fact that when he gets off schedule, what he wants these receivers to do, he doesn't really want to run it. He wants them to show their front numbers.
Okay.
They know when I play off schedule, just show me your front numbers and I'll find you downfield.
Sure.
Understands the concepts of what defenses are trying to do, and he's always looking downfield. He's very accurate with his throws. Look, this is an extension of what he did last year.
Yeah.
This guy threw 41 touchdown passes last year. People didn't realize that. He is off to a hot start.
And when you're saying things get off schedule, you're literally saying the receivers need to turn around and come back and find him. So that way.
Show me your numbers.
Okay.
That's what good quarterbacks want. When they get into that scramble mode and you're a receiver, you could be open.
Back.
I want to see your numbers.
Come back to me.
Morning PU. Should I do this highlight with a little S in the middle? No, I'm going to do this. Northwestern come calling on Penn State who's reeling coming off of that loss at UCLA, but Northwestern beat UCLA. So, Northwestern should then beat Penn State, right? Well, that's Nick Singleton's 38th rushing touchdown, tied with Lydell Mitchell for second most all-time at Penn State, trailing only Saquon Barkley. 5 touchdowns off that pace. Drew Aller going to float one out here to Devontae Ross. Transferred from Troy to play with Aller. Look at Ross just absolutely take off. Aller had 137 passing yards. Oh, did have a pick. Ross would eventually get wrangled down in the red zone. Would lead to a touchdown. Nittany Lions go up 21-16. But here come these frisky Wildcats from Evanston. I got Caleb Coma. And Coma laugh is in. Just kind of squeak through 19 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Northwestern has a 1-point lead. Aller dropping back. Drew Aller is going to get sandwiched as he takes off on 3rd and 4, and he hurt his leg, and they would announce after the game after he's helped off that he is out for the season. You see the emotion for the 3-year starter, and because he's played more than 4 games in each of the last 4 years, he has no more eligibility unless the eligibility changes. Right now, though, we got Penn State eligible for another loss as a 20-point or more favorite. They are the first team since 1978 to lose back-to-back games in those situations. All right, to the Cotton Bowl we go. The Red River rivalry. It's ranked Oklahoma taking on unranked Texas. And yeah, no, they still don't like each other. John Mateer, 17 days removed from having surgery on a broken bone in his throwing hand. He's playing. Mateer struggled against this Texas defense. Yeah, they knew they had to be pesky with Batter, who was 13 of 21, 119 yards, 2 interceptions again, surgery on a broken bone in his throwing hand. Oklahoma, they were up though, 6-3 at halftime there at the State Fair of Texas, down 6-3, is the Longhorns still. It's 3rd and 3 playing in the shadows figuratively, literally. Arch Manning rolling out Ryan Wingo. That's an 11 yards pickup. Let's move the sticks. First down in the red zone. Couple plays later, Manning. DeAndre Moore. Randy, they don't call him DeAndre Lowe. That's correct. Wide open. Back in the end zone for the score. It's 10-6. The Longhorns trying to rebound from that disappointing loss in the swamp last week at the hands of Florida. It's Manning. Shadows playing tricks on you. Nice off-platform throw from Manning. Later in the same drive, it's 3rd and 7. Manning, Quentin Weiser making one defender miss. Weissner making everybody else miss. Weissner picks up 19. It leads to a Texas field goal. They're up 13 to 29-yard pickup. The bigger pickup. Texas a win in the win column. 23-6. Good to have Heather Dinich and Paul Finebaum with us this morning on SportsCenter. Heather, this feels like a huge win for Texas, but perhaps why is it not as big a victory as we might believe? Well, because it was the first win against a Power 4 opponent, a first win against a ranked opponent, and because Texas has the 15th most difficult schedule remaining in the country. They still have to play Vanderbilt, Georgia, and a Texas A&M team that I currently have number 4th in my latest projection. So, yes, it was a huge win. It was critical to keep their playoff hopes alive, and we were able to see how well Arch Manning can play if given some time. The defense is certainly legit. That's why I didn't drop them out of my top 25 last week, guys. But they've got to keep this up and continue to put it together and play as well on offense as they have on defense against more ranked opponents down the stretch. Heather, I agree with your premise, but I think psychologically it was bigger than that for Arch Manning. He needed something positive to happen after a brutal preseason up until the Red River. To me, this game was also about John Mateer. I'm still doubting what good he was doing in that game considering the difficulties that he had, but he got the green light. It didn't turn out well, but I still think Oklahoma has a path back. Their schedule is extremely difficult. Road games all over the place against teams like Alabama, just to name one or two. But ultimately though, I think this game was more about Texas getting a boost and moving ahead and maybe having a shot, a narrow shot, albeit. Let's talk about the Big Ten. Oregon had not lost a regular season conference game yet as members of the Big Ten. Indiana serves them up that first L. Heather, where are the Hoosiers in your rankings after that win yesterday? They're number 3 in the country. Look, Indiana just went to Auten and earned the best win in the country to date. And they did it by double digits. Okay, now they have 3 straight wins against Big Ten opponents. That was the only game left on their schedule that they weren't favored to win according to ESPN Analytics. This was critical in terms of a head-to-head win in terms of the Big Ten standings. The reason, though, at least one reason I would say I think the selection committee, if they met today, would still keep them behind Ohio State and Miami is partially because of that non-conference schedule, which includes Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and FCS Indiana State. But this is a team that has a Heisman hopeful quarterback in Fernando Mendoza and a defense that was legit forcing Dante Moore into mistakes and sacking him 6 times. Indiana is for real, right, Paul? Yes, you are correct, Heather. And what's so extraordinary about this is for all the terrible things that are happening to teams like Penn State and Texas has had its trouble, and obviously a number of others like Clemson. This to me may be the most important moment of the year in college football, because a lot of people, and I'll include myself, Heather, did not see this coming. Indiana looked like a one-hit wonder last year, but that's not what they are. It is so significant for Curt Cignetti in this program, and it has just not only slammed the door in the critics, some of us can barely speak this morning as a result. Indiana has beat multiple AP top 10 teams within a season for the first time in the poll era. Paul, Heather, great to see you.